Welcome to this high-energy explainer masterclass. Today, we're stepping right into the examiner's room, putting on their glasses and looking through the highly critical lens of a Cambridge principal examiner to completely dissect inventory valuation methods. We're going to explore exactly how you need to tackle those massive, complex questions, allocate your time flawlessly, and deploy elite critical thinking strategies to secure absolute top marks on FIFO and AVCO. Listen, we aren't just sitting here covering basic textbook definitions today. We are identifying the exact traps and pitfalls where candidates bleed marks, pulled straight from the official Cambridge Assessment International Education Principal Examiner reports. Get ready, because we're about to change how you look at the 9706 syllabus forever. We're starting with this high-stakes truth right out of the gate, because unlocking those top-tier marking bands requires a deeply analytical, bulletproof strategy. It is absolutely not just about memorizing some formulas or knowing how to use a calculator. It is about application under pressure. An A-star candidate doesn't just regurgitate definitions. They know exactly how the examiner expects them to visually lay out the data. They know how to extract a compelling financial narrative from a really messy, disorganized list of transactions. To reach that top grade, you have to shift your mindset right now. Stop being a passive student. You need to start thinking like the examiner, who has a red pen hovering over your paper. Okay, let's dive into this rigorous exam autopsy. We're systematically breaking down our agenda today, starting with the examiner's blueprint, then mastering FIFO and AVCO, moving into the method mark strategy, unpacking our deconstruct, solve, and evaluate framework, and finishing up with the top 3 costly mistakes. Let's move to our first section and look at the core principles and the exact cognitive domains that examiners are actively targeting. Now, what's really crucial about this slide is understanding the anatomy of a high-tariff question. When you are staring down an intimidating 9 to 15 mark essay prompt, you are actually being tested on 3 completely distinct cognitive domains. Assessment Objective 1 is your knowledge and understanding. Can you actually define the terms? AO2 is analysis. Can you process the raw data logically? And AO3 is evaluation. Can you judge the outcome and make a bulletproof recommendation? Let's visualize a digital study suite right now. We've got 2 scholars working on a past paper. Let's call them Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is highly technical. He is an absolute machine when it comes to the AO1 facts and the AO2 formulas. But when he hits an open-ended AO3 evaluation question, he completely freezes. On the other side of the desk, we have Sam. Sam is a creative thinker, a fantastic debater who loves arguing a point for AO3, but her structural precision and timing are a mess, so she drops all her easy AO1 and AO2 marks. To get an A-star, you cannot afford to be just an Alex or just a Sam. You have to master the command words. If the prompt says analyze, you break it down like Alex. But if it says evaluate or to what extent, you have to step back and make a justified judgment like Sam. You must balance all 3 domains flawlessly. Transitioning into Section 2, we must address the theoretical foundations of our inventory methods. The conceptual framework here draws on established principles of systematic analysis, and it requires you to clearly map the visual story of how inventory flows under each specific method. FIFO, or first in, first out, assumes your oldest inventory is sold first. AVCO, or average cost, smooths out market price fluctuations by calculating a brand new weighted average cost. But listen closely. The real trap, the place where dreams of an A-star go to die, is the difference between perpetual and periodic systems. Let's look back at Alex and Sam debating this exact concept. Alex pushes for a purely factual approach, saying, let's just calculate the perpetual ledger. It updates after every single transaction. It's more accurate. But Sam argues for a broader perspective, pointing out, wait, the prompt asked for the periodic system, which means we only calculate the whole thing at the end of the financial period. And Sam is right. You have to visualize this flow. Imagine a massive physical warehouse. Is the forklift taking pallets from the very front of the line every single day, like a perpetual FIFO system? Or are we blending the financial value of the entire warehouse together at the end of the month before recording the cost of sales? You have to map the reality to the math. So why does this happen? According to the examiner reports, candidates consistently confuse key terminology, which completely derails their evidence-based reasoning. The examiners note time and time again that students will confidently start calculating a perpetual AVCO when the prompt explicitly asks for a periodic FIFO. Why? Because under intense exam hall pressure, adrenaline kicks in. Students scan the text way too quickly. They completely fail to use a digital or mental highlighter to isolate the command word and the hidden constraints of the prompt. They rush straight to solving the math without actually reading the blueprint. It's a fatal error. So the absolutely crucial point here is this explicit examiner alert. You must define your terms to lock in your foundation before attempting any higher order analysis. Alex and Sam debate this all the time. Alex says writing definitions is a waste of precious time, just do the calculation. But the master coach steps in and says no. If an extended question asks you to evaluate the impact of switching from FIFO to AVCO, your very first sentence needs to define what those two methods actually mean in the context of this specific business. By defining the terminology, you instantly secure your AO1 knowledge marks, and more importantly, you create a clear, logical roadmap for your own brain to follow as you transition into the complex AO2 math and the AO3 analysis. Building on those definitions, Section 3 focuses on the procedural framework, because in accounting, the process is just as important as the final number. Now, before we dive into the brilliant, strict conventions illustrated on this slide, and right before we tackle the absolute hardest part of problem solving together, I want to quickly pause our session. If you are serious about transforming your grades and mastering these elite Cambridge strategies, you need to subscribe to the channel Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels right now. Find the handle at acetheexam_IGCSE. Hit that subscribe button and absolutely make sure you enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. We drop weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies that you simply cannot afford to miss. All right, let's get back to it. This slide brilliantly illustrates the strict conventions you must follow. You could have the most flawless, mathematically gifted brain on the planet, but if you don't write Statement of Inventory Valuation at the top of your page, or if you fail to clearly label your columns with dates, receipts, issues, and balances, the examiner literally cannot award you method marks. Accounting is the language of business, and formatting is its grammar. If you ignore proper headings or correct terminology, your message is lost, and it will immediately cost you critical marks. When tackling these massive examination questions, you must sequentially execute these 6 exact steps to guarantee you are capturing every possible method mark. Let's look at our scholars, Alex and Sam, actively drafting a model response paragraph by paragraph on screen. They hit a major roadblock right at step 4 and 5. They have the data, but their timing is slipping, and they can't figure out how to link their calculation to the presentation. This is where we pause their session, step in, and use a cognitive strategy to get them unstuck. You don't just mash numbers together. Step 1, you deconstruct the prompt. Step 2, extract the data and ignore the distracting noise. Step 3, select the framework. Is it a perpetual ledger or a periodic equation? Step 4, execute with clear notation showing every single step of your workings out loud. Step 5, verify your results against the given data to check for reasonableness. And Step 6, presents it all with the strict formatting conventions we just discussed. When we rewrite Alex and Sam's flawed section using these 6 steps, a confusing, mediocre answer instantly transforms into a flawless, full-mark response. Now let's explore Section 4, moving into the advanced critical analysis required for those really high-tariff evaluations. Top-scoring candidates demonstrate higher order evaluative thinking by systematically identifying given information, checking for reasonableness, and strongly justifying their recommendations. Welcome to the interactive pause and practice visual workshop segment of our explainer. Scene 1. Imagine a complex data chart on your screen right now showing wildly fluctuating supply costs for a manufacturing business. The timer is ticking down, 60 seconds. How do you evaluate this? When Alex and Sam try to write an evaluation paragraph here, they usually crash. Alex just lists the math, saying FIFO gives a higher profit. Sam writes a generic business statement, saying profit is good for the company. Neither gets full marks. The cognitive strategy to get unstuck is the evaluative thinking arc. You must state the mathematical finding, then consider a different perspective. For instance, ask yourself, how does this artificially high FIFO profit affect the company's tax burden or their pressure to pay shareholder dividends? And finally, make a highly justified recommendation rooted entirely in the specific stimulus material provided. Let's move to Scene 2 of our workshop and see how this builds a perfect comparative analysis. Spot the flaw in this common student approach. They write one paragraph listing facts about FIFO and a totally separate paragraph listing facts about AVCO. Do you see the problem? That is a purely descriptive response. It is not evaluative. To get the top marks, you must identify similarities and differences using comparative connectives fully supported by stimulus evidence. You have to weave them together. You must use connectives like whereas, conversely, or on the other hand. Here is what an A-star sentence sounds like. Whereas FIFO results in a closing inventory valuation that is much closer to current market replacement costs, AVCO smooths out the impact of volatile price fluctuations, which, according to the stimulus data, is absolutely crucial for this specific business's cash flow planning. Boom! That sentence uses a comparative connective, it provides stimulus evidence, and it draws a definitive conclusion on relative importance. That is how you win. For our final section, we are looking directly at the most frequent traps identified by Cambridge principal examiners. If you want to achieve an A star, you absolutely cannot afford to make these three mistakes. Mistake number one, confusing cause and effect. I see this all the time. Students will confidently write that FIFO causes market prices to rise. That is factually, fundamentally incorrect. External market conditions cause prices to rise. FIFO simply dictates the accounting method we use to track that rising cost. Mistake number two, forgetting to check format and presentation. We already covered how utterly devastating it is to lose easy, guaranteed method marks simply because you forgot a column heading or didn't show your workings. And mistake number three, this is the big one, answers not specific to the given context. If the exam stimulus provides a detailed scenario about a company selling highly perishable goods, like fresh strawberries, and you write a beautiful, technically perfect evaluation paragraph about the risk of technological obsolescence, you get 0 marks. 0. Your answer must map perfectly to the exact constraints and context of the stimulus materials. To wrap up this explainer masterclass, let's look at the personal breakthroughs from our scholars today. Alex realized he has to step beyond the math and embrace the evaluative thinking arc. Sam realized her amazing arguments mean nothing if she doesn't secure her method marks with structural precision. Let's synthesize this entire session into 3 core memorable pillars. Pillar 1, the 3-step question scan. Always isolate the command word. Identify the required cognitive domains, and lock in the specific business context before you ever touch your calculator. Pillar 2, the paragraph balance formula. Ensure you clearly define your terms for AO1, show precise, formatted calculations for AO2, and weave in those comparative connectives for AO3 evaluation. Pillar 3, the last 5 minutes review checklist. Always verify your formats, double-check your headings, and rigorously ensure your final recommendation actually answers the prompt. I really want you to think about that deeply. If you deploy these strategies, how many lost marks will you reclaim on your next paper? How many marks have you left on the table in the past simply from rushing the format or misreading a command word? Listen to me. Crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. You have to train yourself to see the paper through the examiner's eyes. If you found this masterclass valuable, you need to hit that subscribe button for Ace the Exam's IGCSE O and A levels at acetheexam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss our future exam hacks, and leave a comment down below right now with your target grade and exactly how you plan to use the method mark strategy. Keep analyzing, keep evaluating, and we will see you in the next explainer.